for each other, and it helps a lot with support too. Doing the solo ultra is a total different ball game because you have no other support unless you're texting some people or something like that. But just being there alone and trying to convince yourself to get out of your car 9 times is really hard. And and then when you're out there on the mountain, there's nobody there to say, "Hey, you're doing a great job. Come on, we got a little bit farther. Just push this a little bit farther." You have to be the person telling yourself that all the time. So if you're not telling yourself good things and you're telling yourself bad things that you can't make it, chances are you're going to not be successful. And then hopefully you learn from that and apply better for the next time.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, even just hiking, I hike solo most of the time. So even for myself, just not doing an ultra, just any mountain, sometimes you're just like, man, I could just turn around and go back. But doing an ultra by yourself, totally a different ball game,
Yeah,
100%.
it is.
So for someone going after their first ultra, what would you say to them? You know, what's like some quick advice that you would give them if they were about to tackle their first one?
Be smart, listen to your body, don't put yourself into a dangerous situation. Know that if they're just voices in your head telling yourself, I don't want to do this, or I don't have to do this, or, I mean, technically nobody's forcing you to be out there, right? So you are actually putting yourself there, but, um, try not to psych yourself out. Um, you're capable of so much more than you think. Um, and then just try not to put it as a daunting task over the top of your head. Um, don't look at it as I have to do these, I have to do these, I have to do these, I have to climb this one and climb that one. Look at it as I'm doing this as one whole big picture. Don't look at it as I'm hiking this one, I'm hiking that one. I mean, I guess if that works for you, everybody's approach is different, but that's just how I look at it as I go into the day as I'm doing a Saranac Lake Sixer, and I don't stop unless I have to or someone else in my group has to. I don't stop until that's done. And hydration and stuff is a huge key. You definitely have to stay hydrated so you don't cramp up. Electrolytes, eating. I'm not the best person to talk about with as far as diet goes. I'm actually working on, from a friend of mine, getting help in that area so I can be stronger, and just feel better, because diet obviously makes it affects your life
It's your
huge.
fuel from
Yeah,
everything.
yeah. So that's big if you want to be able to. It makes a difference in feeling like you're really lagging out there versus I feel great. Lately, the bigger hikes that I've done, or any hike, or even throughout the day, since I focus better on my diet, it's just I've noticed a great, huge difference. And every single hike, I'm just like, wow, I feel really great. This is amazing. So I suggest, working on diet and hydration, and you know, and then after that, it's basically mental, and always listen to your body. The mountains are always going to be there. Don't get yourself in a dangerous spot. Go with a couple friends. Maybe you can get a couple crazy friends together and go with you. If not, I'm sure somebody knows how to get a hold of me. I'll go basically do an ultra with anybody. So, um,
Even if he's in Maine, he will come meet you at the trailhead.
there you go. If I'm available, I'll be there in 5 hours.
Yes. Now, earlier in the episode, you mentioned on top of just doing these kind of established ultras, you also like to string together different mountains or different runs. Is there anything in particular that you're kind of eyeballing for this year, whether it's the Adirondacks or somewhere else?
Um, so I've got my eye on a few different routes in the high peaks. Um, so like I said before, my friend Nancy had really got me thinking about doing things like this, because most of the time, when people do the McIntyre range, they'll group three and one. They'll do, right Algonquin Iroquois and then come back and do Marshall. Um, and then, stuff like that. Uh, Colvin and Blake, Dial Nipple Top, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So she would go out on summer solstice with her other friend every single summer solstice, so the longest day of the year, and see how they pick this crazy route of like 10, 14, 16 high peaks in one day. And, some people are like, what? And that's how I felt at first. And was like, how is that even possible? And you see them do it and you're just like, okay, what can I string together? Now that I've done a ton of ultras and stuff, um, there was one day 2 summers ago where I talked to my buddy, Justin. He's usually my go-to. I have a really, most people would call it dumb idea. And it always perks his ears up like I'm listening. And so I told him what the route was, and his first reaction was like, I was text message, so it was the shake my head emoji, and I'm just like, want to try it? And my goal was, I didn't look at any numbers, but my biggest day prior to that was 10 high peaks, and it was 10,000 feet of elevation. And I wanted to know if I was capable of climbing 15,000 feet of elevation in one day, elevation gain.
Mm-hmm.
And I picked a route through the high peaks that I thought might hit it. I didn't check numbers, but I thought it was going to be really close, just based on my experience out there and hiking all the trails. And I know most of the numbers pretty good. And so I picked all 4 of the MAC range. So you've got right Algonquin, Iroquois, and then down to the Shepherd's Tooth, bushwhack to Marshall, drop off of Marshall, and then Gray, Skylight, and Marcy, and then down the whole Great Range to Rooster Comb. So that ended up
Wow.
being 14 high peaks and 13.5 in elevation, 13,500 feet in elevation. And at first I was like, man, I didn't hit my 15K. But then I'm thinking, are you nuts?
It's not
You
about
should be
that at
so
this point.
proud. You
Yeah.
just did 14 high peaks. You just killed this huge day that 3 years ago, you're standing on Marcy saying, how is it possible to stand on more than one of these a day? And I just stood on 13 other ones in the same day. And that's just mind blowing to me as far as what you're capable of
In a short period of time as
in
well.
such a short period
Relatively
of
short period of
time.
time.
Yeah, I mean, I hike a lot, so I'm used to climbing mountains. I'm a very avid hiker, so that definitely helps. But you 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 can do so much more than you thought was even possible. So I forget what your original question was there.
No, I was just
Um,
asking, if
oh,
there's something
an
you're
unconventional
eyeballing.
routes route. Yeah. So I was eyeballing. I would like to. I was thinking about doing maybe the Dixes with a GRT. That sounds a little bit. That sounds a little bit far. We actually, me and my friend Amanda, a couple years ago, tried to do the Dixes plus Dial Nippletop, Colvin and Blake, and then the lower Great Range over to Sawteeth and down to Rooster Comb. But it was such a beautiful day in the Dix Range that we just spent so much time in all the summits that by the time we got over to Dial, we were like, this is just not happening today. But and then we just scooted out of the woods, and it was still okay, and
And
we
that was
weren't
fine.
disappointed at all.
Exactly.
You just
Yes.
the point is you just enjoy your day, and sometimes you don't get to the goal, I guess, that you set out to be, but at the end of the day, you can still look at it as a win. So
100% that is a win.
yeah. So and then I just have a few other ideas as far as that, and then I would like to actually we have plans to climb Mount Whitney
Great.
out in California,
Yep.
uh, tallest point in continental U.S. Out in September. So
Awesome.
looking forward to that. Hopefully we'll get some permits. We're waiting to hear back on that now. So
Very cool.
yeah.
Well, I think we'll start to wrap it up here with a couple quick questions to end the show. So, what do you keep in your backpack? So, doing ultra hiking in particular, I'm guessing, and tell me if I'm wrong, that you have a small pack and you kind of have your base camp out of your car. On, of course, not every hike. Some hikes are not, you're not in your car. But what do you keep in your backpack? What size pack do you tend to go out there with? What's that look like for you?
So I mean, I guess it depends. Are we talking like car to car ultras here? I guess
For this, let's go car to
for
car
this
ultra,
episode.
and then after, tell me what you would do on a
Okay.
not car to car ultra.
Okay. So basically, and I'm not. Ultras can be. It depends. There's some people that go fast and light, and there's some people that still carry everything that they would, no matter what hike that they were on in the winter. And I understand that. And I'm not saying go with anything that you're not comfortable without on an overnight, because anything's possible. Even on a mile-long hike, you can end up spending the night overnight. So, take things with a grain of salt. I'm not trying to portray that you should be doing stuff like this. I am very confident in my capabilities out in the woods. As far as survival with minimal needs, I grew up doing this kind of stuff. Not hiking, but I grew up basically in the woods, hiking, hunting and fishing and stuff like that. So I'm very confident in how to survive myself. I might not be the most comfortable, but I'm pretty confident I'll survive. So with that being said, there's a lot of things for the ultras that I won't take as far as what I would normally carry on, say, a high peak. And that's, I um, basically for ultras, if it's anything under, a few miles car to car, I I'll take, maybe a puffy and some water, not much water because I usually try to hydrate in my car between trailheads. But I will take a little bit just in case I need it out there, maybe some ibuprofen in case I need it, a little bit of food, but I try to eat, in between hikes
In your
in the
car.
car.
Yep.
I try to change all my clothes in between the cars so I don't have to carry so much dry stuff. I will carry maybe a dry shirt or something just in case I have to put something dry on my torso to keep my torso dry, warm if I have to sit still. Because in the wintertime, especially, it gets really cold really fast if you have to sit still. Um, Other than that, typical stuff. Headlamps. I always carry two. Extra batteries. I'll even sometimes carry a flashlight along with that, and like what I call my little emergency kit. And all that is, it's very simple. It all fits in a Ziploc baggie, and I've got two space blankets, the aluminum space blankets, a poncho, um, waterproof matches, some sort of fire starting tinder, those little manufactured wax blocks or whatever they sell in the store, or you can use, dryer lint, birch bark, anything that you can keep that's nice and light and we'll use for tinder. Um, I would carry a lighter in there. Um, and then I have an emergency bivy that I carry in the wintertime sometimes, unless it's a really short hike. Um, Other than that, I've always got hat and gloves. Always, even when it's 90 degrees out, I've always got hat and gloves. Um, my hard shell jacket. If it's raining, rain pants, extra socks. Um, but as far as not, the ultras, I go fast and light.
Sure.
Um, there's some hikes that I won't even take anything, other than, maybe wrap my puffy around my waist. I'll throw my GPS. That's one thing. I have a Garmin GPS with an SOS button. My family at home can track me online. It's a great thing to have just in case, no matter how experienced you are out there, it's good to have that extra, never rely on technology, but it's good to have that extra lifeline as far as that goes.
I would say
Um,
not, you said not, no matter how experienced you are. I would actually say that from everyone that I speak with, the very experienced people all go with the GPS because of that exact reason. So that because
Yeah.
they know people need to be able to find you if something goes wrong. So good call on that. Regardless, taking it with you.
No matter what happens. Yeah. No matter